So let's get cracking here. I do appreciate everybody being here. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have y'all. My name is Jason Kresge. It's Saturday. It's 420. Happy 420 to those who celebrate. You guys could be anywhere, but you're here with us. So we really appreciate it. I want to get going on this. Now, why are you here? We're here because we're looking to find the next movers in the market. That's what this is really all about. And we want to utilize TrendSpider to do it. So this is going to be, we're going to be talking through basically everything that you need to know how to utilize TrendSpider to find these names. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to pop open the market scanner here. And I'm going to go to my shared scanners list and I'm going to type in next movers. Now, for anybody who is a TrendSpider trader already, my colleague Brad has the link to this scan. He's going to share it with you guys so that you have it. And let's talk through what this scan is really looking for. Oh, you can't. Hold on 1 second, guys. I'm really sorry. Hold on 1 second. All right, Brad's going to share it here in the Q&A shortly. And yes, Alex, you will be able to rewatch this on YouTube. All right, so let's talk about this scan real quick. It's looking for both fundamental and technical components. You've got at the first two conditions here, we're looking for EPS. We're looking for increases in EPS over the past couple of quarters. So you got EPS this quarter is greater than EPS last quarter. You got EPS last quarter is greater than EPS the quarter before. So multiple quarters of EPS growth. We want that fundamental piece in there. The next piece, or the next couple of pieces, they're all technical pieces. We're looking for moving average alignment. On my chart here, I've got a handful of moving averages. I got the 20, the 50, the 100. And these are just lengths that, you know, we think are pretty decent lengths to utilize. If you want to use different moving average lengths, you totally can, but just a decent distribution of kind of shorter and longer lengths. And we're looking for that alignment. So we're looking for the 20 being above the 50 being above the 100. So that's what we've got scripted here. The 20 is greater than the 50 is greater than the 100. And then you got price closing greater than the 20, which means price is above all of them. Obviously, on the SPY here, we're breaking down below these two major moving averages. So the SPY wouldn't come up as a result in this particular scan, just based off of those moving average conditions. Not a big deal, but this is what we want. We want strength with EPS, and we want strength with those moving averages, price above them. Next up, we got analyst estimates. So we're looking for any analyst buy upgrades within the past 35 days. So, you know, if the street is bullish on something, we want to be considering that as an option or as a condition for this particular scan as well. And then these last two conditions are kind of interesting. These are yearly conditions, and or rather, the first condition is a yearly condition. We're looking for price close within range of price open by 50%. So we're just saying that this year so far, the names that are going to come up in this scan have not gained more than 50%. That's a big move, but lots of names out there have gained quite more than that. So we're trying to cap the amount that a ticker has moved. Remember, we're looking for stocks that haven't really made the move yet, right? We're not looking for stocks that already made big moves. And then last here, we've got the a daily condition. This is just kind of a filtering mechanic. We're saying price close greater than 10 bucks. We're trying to remove small cap, penny stock, those sorts of names from this list. So we're just looking for kind of bigger names. And that's really what we're after here. This is what's going to get us the first step of the way there. So I'm running this through the NMS composite. I'm going to go ahead and run this scan. It's going to do some hunting around. It's going to find a bunch of names that aren't meeting the criteria. It's going to pass through those, and it's going to ultimately yield me a handful of symbols that are looking pretty good, meeting this criteria right now. So we're going to give it a split second to work here. And we've got a handful of names coming up. We got FCFS and we got LE. So what I want to do is I want to take these two names and throw them on a watch list real quick. So I'm going to go to my Dow Jones watch list here, click on the three dots. I'm going to create a new watch list. We're going to call this thing Next Movers. And I'm going to add FCFS, and LE to this list and say create. So now I've got those two names in my watch list. I'm going to come back and I'm going to search NYSE. The reason why we're searching the NMS and the NYSE, these are kind of the big two lists on the platform. This is going to cover about 5,500 symbols across the board. That's that's like 2/3 of the tickers in the U.S. markets. So this is going to give me kind of all the names that I really need, and we got 5 more here. So I'm going to very quickly add these guys. We're going to go to we're going to add them to the watch list here. So I'm just clicking on the 3 dots. We're going to add them to the next movers list. All right, so now we got our 7 symbols. That's 7 symbols out of the 5,500 that we just scanned through that are actually meeting this criteria. 7 symbols that might be the ones that we want to trade, or that we might want to consider taking trades on in the weeks and months to come as potential next movers. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to actually start looking through, looking at the charts and utilizing kind of the periphery tools on the platform to gauge which names we should be taking trades in. So the first name here, or the first way that I tend to go through these lists is with seasonality. I want to know kind of, are these names setting up seasonally to be strong in the weeks and months to come? So I've got my seasonality widget preloaded here, and I'm just going to open it up. And we can kind of gauge our expectations based off of kind of the seasonal return, the seasonal strength of a particular name. By default, seasonality is going to be on the monthly time frame here. So this is giving us the monthly win rate for each name that we're going to be looking at. And obviously, we're looking at April right now. That's the month that we're in. And this particular symbol, FCFS here, 73% win rate in April. Generally very strong in April. We want to add mean change to this. This is going to be exactly that. You know, how much does it tend to move when it does move? And so you got a 73% win rate in April. You got a mean change of nearly 5%. This thing tends to be really strong in April. And then the chances of it returning or having a green month kind of dwindle over the coming months in May and June. Things kind of decrease, your mean change decreases, but then it jumps again into July. So this isn't a terrible look. This looks relatively good, but we do know that the strongest month, we're already there. So if we're looking for symbols that are going to be strong movers in the months to come, this one's kind of in the middle ground, right? It's not super bearish, but it's also not wildly bullish. I put a green tag on it because I want to consider it. I want to look into it a little bit more deeply. I want to look at the chart. But the next thing I want to do is I want to go through this whole list and kind of do that visual analysis of seasonality on each name. So we go to LE here. This is the second name in our list. And LE is looking pretty bad right now. You've got pretty poor seasonal strength in April. This is its worst performing month of the year historically. As far as just whether it's green or red, 36% win rate in April. That win rate increases in May, but your mean change goes down quite a bit. So this might be telling us that earnings, perhaps its second quarter earnings results have a tendency to not be so great, tendency to sell off. But then you have this big jump in mean change in June. So, you know, and your win rate goes up as well. So maybe this particular name is one that we want to keep on the radar, but it's not one that we want to maybe get into a trade right now. We might want to do a little bit of inspecting. Maybe we want to put some alerts on this one, and we can dig into that in just a little bit. So LE is going to get a green marker as well. We're going to go to all here. This is the third name on the list. A totally different look here. You know, you have that really strong April look. Mean change is as high as it gets for the entire year. You have a strong month. Win rate wise, 68% win rate. But then that decreases into May and June. Win rate goes down, your seasonal or your mean change goes down by quite a bit as well. Maybe this one we want to be looking at in June for trades through to the end of summer and into the fall, that might be a more reasonable trade. So this one gets a red flag. We're not super interested in it right now. We'll go to GNRC here. This is the fourth name on the list. And this is really interesting. This is kind of what I'm looking for. If I'm looking for names that have strong potential in the weeks and months to come, this is what I'm looking for, because you got April, your win rate is kind of meh, 47%. Your mean change is not so great, negative 1.55% here. But then going into May, going into June, going into July, your win rates increase quite dramatically, and your mean change increases as well, from 0.29% all the way up to 7%, 7.17% for June and July. This is exactly what I would be looking for on the seasonality side, to give me confidence in the idea that this name might kind of push in the weeks and months to come. So this one gets a nice green flag here. Let's go to AR, check out AR. Again, kind of a similar look to what we saw earlier. You got a really strong mean change here this particular month, and then that drastically reduces over the coming months. Your win rate kind of reduces over the coming months as well. Not the best look on AR. It gets a red flag. ITGR, sixth name on the list. This one's kind of mediocre. Your win rate stays pretty consistent over the next couple months. Your mean change kind of goes down over the next couple months. I'm giving it a green flag because it's okay. It's not great, but it's not bad. And then finally, Tyson here. Again, that same kind of look as we saw before. Really strong April with really high mean change. This is the second strongest mean change, or second highest mean change of the year for this particular name. And it's looking back 50 years. And then the mean change just falls off a cliff, and your win rate kind of falls off a cliff too over the next couple of months. So not the greatest look. And so we give it a red flag. So now we've got essentially three, or rather four green flags, four names that we want to dig in a little bit more on, and three red flags. Perhaps we might want to put the brakes on those particular trade ideas. So let's focus on now the green flags. First up, we got LE. And so again, we're looking for names that have the potential to move in the weeks and months to come. This is the LE weekly. And what I'm kind of highlighting here, you've got a 30-week SMA. And so for anybody who is familiar with Weinstein stage analysis, that's why I'm highlighting this. 30-week SMA, we're looking for kind of the move out of stage one, which is what we're seeing here. Price is kind of consolidating around that 30-week SMA. Finally, price is consolidating above that 30-week. It retests it and it pushes higher, right? So this is the move out of stage one and into stage two. And stage two is where you really want to start getting bullish, and you want to try and capture that whole stage two trend, because sometimes that stage two trend can be a prolonged trend as this 30-week kind of curls up and starts moving higher. But again, remember, in seasonality, remember what we saw here. We saw that April tends to be pretty poor. Your mean change goes way down for May, and then you have this big jump in June. So perhaps right now is not the best time in the world to be getting into this trade, but perhaps we want to be looking for pullbacks to that 30-week SMA as our reasoning for getting into a trade. So what I'm going to do here on this particular name, I'm going to right click on this 30-week SMA. I'm going to create an alert on it, and I'm just going to do a touch bounce alert. I'm going to increase the sensitivity so that I'm alerted somewhere within this range of the 30-week. And then I can just choose how long I want this to live in my system, maybe 60 days, a couple of triggers on it, create the alert, and I'm done. So this is kind of like a swing trade approach. I'm not ready to get into this just yet. I know that seasonality next month is not so great, but it is coming out of this giant 2-year base, and I might want to get into it on a pullback. For a day trading idea here, let me go to a daily. Go down to the daily, and we see that we're coming into a very long-term gap here. This is a gap from September 2022. We got a nice power earnings gap up back in March, and price is really respecting that power earnings gap up look. It's just kind of continued to hold and hasn't retraced back into the gap up. So on a day trading side, maybe what I want to do is I want to right click on this candle and just create an anchored view app there, and then create an alert on that anchored view app. I'm going to tighten up the sensitivity a little bit here so that we're We're not seeing, or we're only getting alerted if price gets really close to that VWAP. And then I'm going to tighten up my confirmation candle down to a much smaller time frame so that I'm alerted more quickly. Again, I set this expiration for how long I want it, set the amount of triggers, how many triggers I want. And now every time price comes into that VWAP, I'm going to get an alert to let me know that I might be interested in taking a trade when that comes along. So now my alerts are set on LE. I'm following the rules of what I kind of determined from seasonality. I don't want to get into this thing just yet, but I have alerts on longer time frames and shorter time frames, depending on my trading style. Next up, we got FCFS here. And on this particular one, there were two things that kind of caught my personal attention. On the right here, huge insider selling all throughout March and February. Same insider just selling, 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 selling. So I could do a little bit more DD if I wanted to, and I could look into this guy, Douglas Ripple, and see what his deal is. Why is he getting out of this name? Why is he so intent on getting out of this position? But also, just looking at the monthly chart here, I've got auto trends turned on. And just looking at the monthly chart here, the platform is automatically identifying these really long-term trend lines. Price is kind of breaking through this long-term trend line right now. And that can be very bullish, but it could also be exhaustive. Price could be kind of starting to get to a point where it might need to cool off a little bit. We see that in the seasonality, right? Definitely into next month, we see it. So that to me is a little bit of a concern. I don't know that I want to be necessarily buying this breakout here. I can definitely watch it. I could just lock this trend line, turn the rest of them off, and kind of keep my eye on it. But again, we're looking for names that haven't done this yet. We're looking for names that are gonna do this. So this name kind of isn't quite there for me. I'm gonna go ahead and remove it from my list because I think that it's just it's not quite there. So let's remove it. We wanna simplify this as much as we can. We're gonna go to AR here. This is another name that came up on the list. Remember seasonality on this one, really strong mean change, really big mean change in April that definitely decreases over the months to come. So that's a little bit of a concern, but not too bad of a look here. Relatively constructive. The platform's automatically identifying this descending triangle breakout here. You've got the anchored VWAP from the highs. This one doesn't look so bad, but the seasonality a little concerning still. Maybe I wanted to, if I want to trade this one or I want to think about trading this one, since I know seasonal weakness is ahead, maybe I want to only get into it if we're able to make a new high. I can set an alert on a horizontal level here. We're just going to do that really quick. Oh, shoot. We're going to create this alert. Just look for a breakout in this particular case and extend the expiry again. So again, I'm just kind of creating alerts on names that look like they could have potential for doing this, for making these moves. In the meantime, though, I'm just going to remove it from my list because I don't want to focus too much on it. It did have a red flag, but maybe if it makes that new high, maybe I'll be interested in it then. ITGR here. Again, another example of something that's maybe perhaps a little bit extended. I'm utilizing the auto fib tool in this particular case. The auto fibs are drawing this fib sequence. And we can see we've got 7 months green here. This is the monthly chart. We got 7 months green. You've got this very clear reversal pattern setting up. And you are pretty extended. You're at the 200% fib extension from this swing. So again, it's strong for sure, but is this the type of thing that we're looking for? And I would argue that it's not quite what we're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it from the list too, despite the fact that it does have that green flag. I'm going to go ahead and remove that Tyson. Actually, no, sorry, we haven't looked at that yet. Let's look at this next. GNRC here. Pretty interesting look from GNRC. Let's scroll down here. Pretty interesting look from GNRC. This is the monthly. You've got the 821. These are the monthly 821 EMAs. Price kind of trapped right between the monthly 821 EMAs. Let's refresh ourselves on seasonality here. This one had the best look on the seasonality chart coming into the next couple months. Definitely the strongest look of all the names that we found, and it's kind of squeezing between these two moving averages. When we pull this down time frame wise, we go to the weekly. The platform is automatically identifying this downward channel here, this descending channel. We got a nice channel breakout a couple weeks ago. They've come back, they've retested, they've held the top of that channel. We're trading above the 821 on the weekly, which is a nice look. And, you know, when you think about what the indexes have been up to the past couple of weeks, this thing's really bucking that trend too. This thing is showing some serious strength. So this is a pretty interesting look. We'll bring it down to the daily and kind of take a look at the daily too. You got a big gap above, up to 150 bucks, 15 bucks from here. Again, trading up and over the 821. And notice these 821 EMA crosses. When those 821 EMA crosses, you see this thing tends to push really strongly. You got a big push here. You got a nice little push here. So maybe what I want to do on this one, maybe what I want to do is I want to create some kind of alert where I'm getting alerted on all of those crosses, the 821 crosses. And maybe if I want to, I could take both sides of that trade. I could trade the downside on the 821 cross down. I could trade the upside on the 821 cross up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come to my multi-factor alerts. And I'm going to create an alert for both of those crosses at the same time. I want to be alerted whether if we get an 821 cross up, a bullish cross up, or I want to be alerted if we get that bearish cross down. So I'm going to utilize GPT conditions for this. And this is a relatively brand new application or ability of the platform where you can type in with just plain words the condition that you want it to build for you. So I'm going to say EMA 8 crossed up EMA 21 and say apply. It is going to go ahead and script that automatically for me. EMA 8 crossed up EMA 21. And then I'm going to say EMA 8 crossed down and say apply. And again, it's going to script that for me. So now I've got an alert, essentially, or I've got two conditions, one for the cross up, one for the cross down. I'm going to switch all of the following to any of the following, and that way the platform knows to alert me if either one of these things happens. I'm going to extend the amount of time, again, that the platform or that the alert lives in the platform. I'm going to extend the amount of triggers, so 20 triggers, and create the alert. And now the platform is monitoring this name for me. It's going to alert me anytime there's an 821 EMA cross up. So that's pretty cool. So now I've essentially got my symbols picked out. I think that we really liked, or we like the look of LE, right? And we like the look of GNRC, but we don't have any trades on yet. We're just kind of setting alerts and we're thinking through our trade ideas and our trade plan, how we want to act on these particular setups. So while we're waiting for our alerts to hit, while we're waiting for those opportunities to come along, the next step here is really going in and working through our ideas to see if they actually have any merit. So the way that I think to do that is to utilize the strategy tester. And I'm just going to use the example that we just made, those 821 EMA crosses. It's a really simple way to kind of showcase what the strategy tester can do. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, again, go to my GPT conditions. I'm going to say 8 EMA crossed up on 21 EMA. I'm just going to test this bullish cross up because I want to see if there's any merit to it and see if the thing can actually work, or see if this trade idea actually works on these names that we've identified. And then I'm going to say 8 EMA crossed down, 21 EMA, and say apply. And so now we've got our conditions built. They're very simple conditions. I'm going to come up here to date, and I'm just going to extend this to 10,000 candles. I want to look back as far as I can look to see if, to see how these names tend to perform when these conditions are true. And so what I get here is I don't get a ton of data, but it's an interesting bit of data. 78 positions on this GNRC name. Your win rate's 36%. It's not the greatest win rate in the world, but the platform is telling me, just based off of the data, that this is actually a decent strategy to utilize for this name. There is no-go highlighting, which would tell me that immediately there is issues with this strategy for the name. So that's a good thing to see. We've got an average win of 16.34%, average return 2.85, risk to reward ratio 3.48. These are values that are actually pretty healthy. I can open up my performance chart and I can see, how does the stock tend to perform when these conditions are met? Anywhere that's green on this chart is going to be, I'm going to be in a long trade that goes in my favor. Anything that's red on the chart, I'm in a long trade that goes against me and becomes a losing trade. So the strategy actually does perform pretty well. It's able to capture some of these big moves. It gets out of them before you have big down moves, which is good to see. I can then pop over to my next name. Remember, we were looking at LE as well. So I'm going to run this, or I'm going to put the LE chart up, and it's going to automatically run that strategy for me on LE. And we get very different results here. Remember, I mentioned that no-go highlighting. That no-go highlighting looks like this. It immediately lets me know that this strategy, that there's a problem with this strategy on this particular name, and I need to try and edit or alter the strategy somehow to make the conditions better, to make the results of the strategy better. So I know right off the bat that this strategy does work better on GNRC than it works on LE, but I want to take this thing to the next level. And the way that I'm going to do that is with the Variance Explorer. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. It's just very basic, 821 EMA cross up. And we're going to say save. And I'm going to open up the Variance Explorer. Excuse me. And what the Variance Explorer does is it shows me, or it gives me the ability to test multiple variants at the same time, up to 30 variants at once. Since we're looking on these just two names, I'm going to input the two names that we wanted to test. We got LE here and then GNRC I want to add. So we got LE, GNRC. We're testing the 821 cross up. So that's two names on one strategy. That means that we have kind of 15 more variants that we can play around with. I'm going to increase the backtest length to the max amount. And then I'm going to come in here. I'm going to utilize those variants that we have. And so I'm going to add time frames. So I'm going to add the 10-minute. I'm going to add the 15-minute, the hour, the 2-hour. I got the 4-hour selected, the daily, the weekly. And I could add a few more if I wanted to. I'm just going to leave it at that, keep it relatively simple. So you can see how powerful this is going to be. I'm going to click compute here, and it's going to automatically run that strategy on both names on all of those time frames at once. So instead of going back and forth and testing a bunch of different time frames on both names and trying to calculate that data that you get back, this is just a nice visual look to the data. This is going to help us really understand the reality of the strategy on these two particular names. Anywhere you see these bright green highlights, those are going to kind of be the best value per each column. So the columns that you have here are essentially the same data points as we were just looking at in the tabular data box. And those are going to represent the best data points of the bunch. And so we can very quickly see here that weekly 821 EMA cross up on GNRC has the best performance of all of the time frames on both of the names, followed by the 240. That's going to be the 4-hour, and then the daily. So these are the three best performing time frames in terms of just sheer net performance. We can compare that to the asset performance over the same period of time. We can see the number of positions that each of these time frames took, the wins that each time frame took. The weekly here on GNRC has 44 wins. That's the most wins of all of the strategies that we just tested. And we can just gauge very, very quickly. It makes it very clear that GNRC is clearly the name that we want to be trading this strategy on. We don't want to be trading it on LE because the performance on LE just simply isn't there for this strategy. It's there for GNRC. And what's interesting about that is we found we were looking at that 821 cross on GNRC. We were utilizing that 821 cross as our alert for GNRC as well. So this is kind of giving a little bit more conviction to that idea. So really, you guys, that's kind of where we're at with, or that's kind of the big way that I go about doing this. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that makes some sense to you all. I want to take this and kind of go in a little bit of a new direction. Now that we kind of understand how to utilize the scan, hopefully some of you guys will be interested in downloading that scan and getting it into your platform. You know how to use it. You know now how to utilize seasonality. We've utilized the strategy tester and the variance explorer to kind of figure out what strategy we want to use and how we want to use it, what name we want to use it on. So that's really how we think about finding these names and then going in and enacting what we found. So I don't want to spend too much time here, but I want to show you guys two other items really quickly. The first, just essentially these two items are just kind of new things to the platform. If you're relatively new here, if you're taking advantage of that tax time sale, these are things that you might find useful. The first is going to be what we call dashboards. And dashboards are pretty much exactly what the title suggests. They are your way of monitoring a broad scope of things that are happening in the market at one time. And so what I have up here on my chart right now, this is the Magnificent 7 dashboard. This is a dashboard that tracks all of the names in the Mag 7. So at the top, I've got 7 charts here, for one for each of those names. Below that, I've got unusual options. This is important unusual options data that's filtered in a handful of different ways. Just looking for calls on all of those Mag 7 names. I've got news for those Mag 7 names. I've got analysts and insiders information for those names. I've got insider trades on those names. I've got earnings on those names. This is everything that I need to know about the daily happenings of the Mag 7, all in one kind of convenient dashboard. I've pre-built this dashboard, and you can go and you can create dashboards for any type of scenario or setup or set of conditions that you might be interested in. I'll give you another example here. This one we call the fundamental fanboy. And the way that this is kind of created, we've got earnings information here. This is specifically looking for bigger earnings surprises. We've got dividend information here. We've got news. We've got recent analyst buy upgrades, recent analyst sell downgrades. These are scanners that can be automatically run right inside of your dashboard. This is going to give you all the latest names that got upgrades and downgrades. You've got analyst estimates for those sets of names as well. Below that, recent EPS surprises. These are charts that are meeting criteria from this particular earnings little widget here. And again, you can kind of create this to be however you want it to be, to look however you want it to look. You can pull data from across the platform and put it into these dashboards. To find them, click on this button right here and add the dashboards. You can add an example dashboard. I've got a handful of ones that I've pre-made. And then the last thing that I want to show you guys really quickly is custom time series data. So if you click on the little person icon here in the top right corner of the platform, you can choose to upload a custom data series. I've got a handful of things uploaded here. I've got CPI, month over month data. I've got Tesla deliveries data. I've got Google search terms for meme coins. And what this does, this shows me literally on the chart, the Google search trends for things or the values for things. And what we found with these particular data points, you guys have all probably heard the stories of folks getting rich by monitoring the amount of cars in a Walmart parking lot during the Christmas season. This is the type of thing, or that's the type of data that you can bring in. Any data that has a time and a value, you can load into the platform and see it. And you can load it in a couple of different ways. You can load it in as a chart here. If I wanted to, I could add an indicator called price compare. And when I add that, what it does is it loads up my ability to bring in this data point as a secondary or as a lower indicator. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to show you guys really quick something really cool we found. We found that that meme coins kind of have a tell. And so what we see is we see these jumps in Google search term or Google search traffic for the term meme coin. We see these jumps before these extensive moves in Doge. And it's happened the past 2 times Doge has made huge moves. Back in October of 2023, you got this big move. You got this big jump here in Google search traffic for meme coins. And then you get that big move. And then again, in February of this year, you have this big jump in Google search traffic for meme coins. You have this big boost in the return or the price of Dogecoin. So like the ways that you can kind of utilize this information is really kind of endless and really exciting. It's a brand new thing that we've just brought to the platform. And hopefully you guys are interested in it and can find some use case for it. So with that, what I'm going to do, that is really the presentation for today. We're going to open up the question answer session. If anybody has any
Hey
specific...
Jason, too. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Hey everyone. So what I wanted to do first, I felt like you were a little flustered in the beginning. Do you just want to go through that scanner? It's in the chat. I think people can see it. I'm not 100% sure. Um, just talk through the conditions really quick, and then why it's for power movers and how that list was derived. You may have covered it in the beginning. I just think it was a bit rushed over.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely do it. So let's pull this back up. So I'm going to search next movers here. And there are a handful of things that we're looking for. The idea behind this is we want to find stuff that's both fundamentally and technically sound. So what we're looking for here in the first 2 conditions, we're looking for some fundamental stuff. We're looking for EPS, earnings per share, increasing over the past handful of quarters. We've defined it by saying earnings per share for this quarter is greater than earnings per share essentially one report ago. And then the second condition defines that earnings per share 1 quarter ago is greater than earnings per share 2 quarters ago. So multiple quarters of EPS growth. And, if you have different criteria that you need, maybe you need 4, maybe you need 8, you can define that all here. We're trying to give you a very basic understanding of what you can do. So multiple quarters EPS growth. The second piece here, we want to find tickers that are essentially strong under the hood, right? And we're using very basic, simple moving averages to define it, but we're using kind of a fan of them, a grouping of them. And we can see it in this Doge chart here. We got a 20, a 50, and a 100 period SMA, and we're looking for moving average alignment. We want to see the 20 above the 50 above the 100, and additionally, we want to see price closing above the 20 as well. So moving average alignment with price above all 3 moving averages. In most cases, and really in any case of a strong stock, you're going to see that. That's going to be the general condition of the moving averages and of price relative to them. Again, if you have specific moving averages you like to use, input them in here. Play around with this idea. This isn't the end all be all. It is one way of going about finding these things. So definitely encourage you guys to make your own copies of this scanner and tool around and try different things with it. This next condition that we have here, again, another kind of more, it's not a technical condition, it's a more fundamental condition. And we're saying that analysts within the past 35 days any analyst has issued a buy upgrade. This isn't a buy, this isn't a reiteration. This is an upgrade from a lower previous estimate. So that's interesting too. These guys, the smart guys, they get paid to do this research. They get paid to be the experts on these names. So if analysts are upgrading to buy, that is another fundamental component that we can add to this to help us kind of just whittle down the pack and give us a bit more understanding about what's happening on the particular ticker. And then these last 2 conditions, remember, when we went through all of the names that came up here, we found a handful of them that had already made kind of big moves. So the idea behind this condition, the yearly price close is within range of the yearly price open by 50%. We're simply capping the amount that price could have moved this year. And we're saying that it could have gone no more than 50% from this year's open. It could be trading no more than 50% above this year's open. And that might be a bit of a stretch. That might be a bit wide of a window. Again, you might want to bring this value down, maybe make it 35 or try 40 or try 25, whatever makes sense for your particular trading needs. But we just added this because we wanted to remove anything that had just like absolutely massively moved higher. Because remember, this whole idea is looking for the next movers. It's not looking for the current movers. It's looking for the ones that are coming. And then finally, this last condition, very simple condition. This is just a basic filtering condition. And we're looking for price closing greater than $10. So we're just saying we want to remove anything that's less than 10 bucks. Different people have different requirements when it comes to how much a stock or the price of a stock that they're willing to trade. Some people won't trade anything under $1 or $5 or $20 or whatever. Again, you can kind of make this value your own as well. And it's important that you do that, play around with this idea. We always encourage that. This is a great scan to utilize to find potential movers. Take it to the next level by loading it into the platform yourself and kind of playing around with the data that's in it, playing around with the conditions to make them a bit more of your own.
Yeah, exactly. And all these can kind of be flipped inversely to create the same thing, but power moves to the downside, decreasing earnings, sell ratings, things like that. So maybe we'll make a version of this that's flipped and share it with support. And then we can attach it in the YouTube link when we upload this later.
Definitely. Is there a way to set seasonality to inception, release, IPO, first date of data? Yeah, so let me show you. I'm going to go back to the SPY here just so we're working off of a bigger chart. So here in the since date, you can pull it to whatever date you want. And there's actually quite a few different ways that you can filter this. You can filter it by that inception date. Now, keep in mind, this is going to be the since date is going to be dependent on your granularity. So here's week of the year seasonality. Because we're now looking at a different set of candles, you're going to not be able to look back as far. As you get more granular, the distance you can look back is going to change. It's all the same amount of candles, but because the time frames are getting smaller, you cannot look back to the inception of the SPY on day of the week. We can also choose to exclude periods. One thing that I've kind of been showcasing for people, we're in an election year right now, and election years tend to have different performance, and or rather some assets tend to perform differently during election years than during other years. So you can actually come in here and you can choose to exclude particular periods of time. So if I wanted to exclude non-election years, I can do that. I can just start typing in non-election years, right? And you see how the data is changing as I'm going. That's going to be true across all of the time frames, and this is going to give you a totally different look than if you include all of the years, right? You're going to get different values here, and so as we, as I guess per whatever makes sense for you, exclude that stuff. We found some really interesting data for XLE and a handful of the names within the XLE. Election years, they tend to be really, really strong in April from CVX, COP, XOM. When you go in and you add all of the non-election years, these names just really, really outperform in April. Not a huge surprise to see them performing so well right now because that's historically what they do. So hopefully, Direwolf, hopefully that answers your question. Can you scan for unusual options or do you need to select a ticker? You cannot scan for unusual options at this time. Where can you find pre-made strategy templates which have high probability of success? So there are a handful of pre-mades in your strategy tester. They're going to be over here on the left-hand side. Another thing that I would recommend to you We've got a handful of strategies in our, let me grab it. Ooh, it might take a second for me to find it. But you can join up in our Discord. We do post strategies in our Discord channel that's going to be available right here. Join our official Discord server. So we do post them in there. You've got other TrendSpider traders who post strategies from time to time as well. Decent place to be looking for them. And then on occasion, I go live and do office hour sessions on YouTube. You're welcome to tune into any of those. In those sessions, it's really all about the folks who tune in and where they want me to go, so we can work on building stuff together if you want to, that sort of thing.
Also, we have the marketplace, Jason. I'll post the link to that here.
Yes, the marketplace.
You can open it up if you can see that link.
Thank you, sir. Can you scan for low float and short interest stocks? At this time, it's not possible. What I would kind of recommend for you on that is utilize price and utilize average volume, average daily volume. Oftentimes stuff that's low float is going to have a certain kind of price point and a certain amount of average volume per day. So that's kind of would be where I would start thinking about that. Perhaps that functionality will come in the future. Cannot say for sure. Was there a specific reason you chose EPS as fundamental condition? Just, you're looking for earnings per share increasing quarter to quarter. It's just one sign that fundamentally the stock is performing well, or that rather the underlying company is performing well. That's kind of the thinking behind it. A follow-on question: can you use the Variance Explorer to test which fundamental measures work better than others, and if there are any correlations to better win rate? So you can use, let me show you. You can use you can use earnings dates, dividend dates, splits in there, but not the EPS values. So unfortunately, that's not part of what you can do with the Variance Explorer. Not at this time. Live sessions are kind of variable as I can, usually once or twice a week, and usually midday-ish. Some order flow indicators, no order flow indicators. The closest thing with that is going to be your unusual options. So inside what's happening now, let me show you this. We've got this unusual options widget. And so this is going to be live, a live string of all unusual options that are orders that are coming in through the platform. You can then take this and filter this in a bunch of different ways, by strike price, by premium, by open interest, by different tags. So things like bearish, below the bid, at the ask, sweeps, those sorts of things. This is probably going to be the closest thing to order flow. Will it anytime be possible to scan European stocks? Hopefully in the future. I don't know, Alex, if that's coming. Hopefully in the future, though. Does strategy execute just certain range of time for daily trader? Strategy will execute based off of the time frame that you have selected for it. So in order for a strategy, let's take that 821 EMA cross, and let's say we're testing it on the hourly, right? The hourly candle closes and your entry condition is true. Your entry will occur on the next hourly candle open. So essentially, as soon as the conditions are true on the time frame that you're trading it on, when that candle closes, you get in on the next candle. How can you create a list that is greater than 50 billion market cap? So anonymous attendee, You cannot define market cap at this time in your list. We do have a ton of shared lists, but at this time, market cap is not a value that can be defined.
We have some questions too about scanning for seasonality, which we haven't enabled in the visual editor yet. But yesterday we did soft release a patch for our JavaScript custom indicators that allows you to write indicators that use seasonality to create some type of trigger, in which case you'd be able to use it in the strategy tester. As of yesterday, we're soft rolling out. All indicators created in the platform can be used as scan conditions and strategy conditions, and the same with the variance tester. It's not announced yet, though.
Let's see here. How many time frames can you add in your scan conditions? Up to 4 time frames for your scan conditions. Is there a shared list for identifying stocks entering stage 2? There's not a shared list, but it's very easy to do. So it just kind of depends on how you would want to define it. But you can do things like, show you really quick. You could say
We should have a
weekly.
stage 2 one we can share. Is it just not in this account?
It's just not in this account. But yeah, you're right. We do have something pre-built for it. So you can say things like SMA 30 on the weekly, prices broke through it. And then you could add a condition here where you just say weekly price close greater than indicator weekly SMA 30. Right. So that would get you where you're looking for. Price breaking through the SMA 30 and closing above it. Do scanners work for crypto? Yes, sir. Juan, for that, you would want to go to Signal Stack and dig into the broker directory. What were the stages? So Weinstein stage analysis, there are 4 stages. So let's go back to LE real quick, just so we can kind of look at that. Actually, let's go here. So essentially, this is your whole stage analysis in one chart. You've got stage 1 kind of here where we're consolidating just below or just right around the 30-week SMA. The 30-week is starting to kind of flatten out, curl. You could break above it. Now you're into stage 2. And in stage 2, this is what you're looking for. You're looking for that big kind of directional trending move higher. Pullbacks to the 30-week. You're looking for buying opportunities on those pullbacks. Stage 3 looks a bit like this, where you kind of cap out, you start breaking down below, and then you fail on the retest, and then you start making lower lows. So this is kind of stage 3, excuse me. Then we get into stage 4, which is the complete opposite of stage 2, right? You stay below a downward sloping 30-week, and then the cycle repeats. You start to consolidate, you gain, and then you make new highs. And so this is the move out of 1 and into stage 2. Greater than average volume. So you could use RVol for that. Excuse me. So RVol is just relative volume, right? So you would say greater than a constant value of X. So RVol of 1, right? This is your weekly. RVol is greater than a value of 1. Excuse me. We're just saying that relative volume is greater than average. If you wanted to say relative volume is 2x average, you would use 2 to define it, or maybe 1.2 or 1.5. You know, it's really up to you on that, but this would be the simplest way to do it is with RVol. See here. Is there a video on how to create your own indicator using JavaScript? It's a good question. I'm sure they're out there. I don't believe that we've made one. I'm not familiar with us having one. Gary, thanks, man. Good to see you. So the deal with Schwab was the TD Ameritrade merger, which I believe goes live middle of next month.
I put in chat a link to the JavaScript documentation. That
Okay.
should get you a base of where you need to go. Also, because JavaScript is so widely known, ChatGPT is pretty good with creating scripts that are directly copy and paste into the custom indicator dialog box. You could open it up there and show them, but um,
Another good resource actually for that would be James and on our customer support team. He's been experimenting a lot. So he might be a good resource to tap as far as any questions, initial questions that you have. This is kind of an undersold feature of the platform, but we do have a live support team. We have guys in chat every single day, Monday through Sunday. So during the week, it's about 20 hours a week. There's live people in chat on the weekends. We're smaller staff, so it's about 8 hours a week, but they're almost always around to answer questions. This is a free service available to you. You don't even have to be a TrendSpider trader to access these guys. You can ask questions about the platform. They can answer them if you have them. So do keep that in mind. This chat of it is available to you as well. What are let me see here. Just kind of reading through y'all's questions.
yeah, and thank you everyone for the questions. It seems like an engaged group here today. A lot of good questions about the scripting and the capabilities. It is a big deal because this is the one of the first times or the only time we can bring all of the outside data that we offer in the widgets, whether it be insider trading, options data, seasonality, into any of your scripts, which basically can be bots or scanners, which is a big deal. This will be the only platform where you can scan for custom indicators. So when that is fully operational, it'll be a big, differentiator for some of the other platforms and us.
So last call here. Any other questions from you guys? Again, definitely want to echo what Brad just said. Really appreciate all of you guys tuning in and being here and asking questions. Any plans for making the scanner continuous? That's a great question. I certainly hope so. I would imagine it'll come eventually. I can't speak to when that's going to come. Probably the next thing that comes is scanners on a timer, right? Which is essentially what you're requesting here. Being able to define, I want this scanner to go off at 9:30 every day or at 2 p.m. every day or what have you.
Yeah, and it's
Well,
something we were just talking about in a dev meeting yesterday. A big thing where we want to move towards is to customer consumables for you guys. So we're experimenting with ways to do that. One of them would be kind of a live populator of some predefined market movers and conditions that we define on the back end, but we'll produce you a list of like stocks that are about to pop. And there will be kind of like a black box as to why, and you'll be able to program your own. But the next endeavor for us is building out some widgets that can help everyone kind of weed through the noise. We feel like we've built like a really good and robust application for doing things. And the next one is kind of helping people get where they want to go quicker or weeding through a massive market of noise and in a quick and efficient manner. The other piece of what we try to build into this tool is helping you guys be consistent with your approach. That's what we try to show off today is like take a list of 3,000 stocks, get them down to five, weed through their seasonality, insider trading, and do some testing to try and figure out which one gives you the highest probability to get you in a winning scenario. From there, it's up to you to protect your risk to reward and set your targets on, what you decide or test. But we want to enable, average people to trade with tools that a lot of hedge funds are used to using without needing to hire coders, quants, everything else. It's kind of like a one-stop shop for all the data. And then we provided like a visual interface for building and then a more robust interface for scripting if you're capable. So, our goal is to bring that into consumables that help you, on an everyday basis. You're probably pretty familiar with them. Cheddarflow's done a good job of this. Unusual Whales has like kind of an alert service. I looked at Spot Gamma the other day. They're doing a lot of consumables in the same way. So that's the next endeavor for us as we roll out the last of these, let's call them table stake features that we know a good platform should have. So things will get a lot more fun here in the next 12 months.
Couple of questions just came in. Elliott Wave, nothing for Elliott Wave just yet. Some of the Elliott Wave guys that I am familiar with, I know like to utilize the 3-point fib just for figuring out extensions. It's just a drawing tool, but no proper Elliott Wave tools just yet. Can Scanner alert me on email, text? At this time, no, but that's kind of where it's headed. The scheduled scans will be sent to your email. Can you put multiple scans on a dashboard? You can put multiple scans on a dashboard. I've got one right here. Oh, this guy. This is my idea generator, and it's got it's got quite a lot of scans in it. You can see they're all running right now. Unfortunately, I cannot refresh them all at once. But I suppose if you were to close out of your scanner dashboard and then reopen it, it is going to reopen for you and it'll rerun all of those scans. If your dashboard stays open, you do have to click the refresh button in each individual scanner, excuse me, on its own. Let's see here.
We've had some questions, Jason, about the scanner, and one piece, like, people are asking about like news, seasonality, and fundamentals. Yes, you can do a lot of these in the scanner. News is one where you can program in by keyword, so it's really nice. You can, do a list of healthcare stocks and then have like a approval article or piece like that that is released in X amount of days. It's easily programmable in the visual interface. Jason can show us here. Yeah, news, and then type in your keyword there. So
say like
there's a lot of pieces that we built into the visual interface, and we plan on bringing more to it in time. And then, obviously, like I've stated, you can call everything now in the Java scripting backend and build it into a visual, and then use that in a scanner as well.
Somebody asked about pre-market scanning. Yeah, you could do everything that you're looking to do. Pre-market gap up with, I believe it was what you say, highest volume update in real time. So highest volume is a kind of a tricky one, but you can certainly define the amount of volume. And then you'll just get a list. So just make sure that you're in extended hours to do it. That would be the big key thing there. You just want to be in extended hours. Let's see. Is there a private tutorial of some sort? So Greg, again, we do these office hour sessions from time to time on YouTube. Those are essentially like private tutorials, right? I go live and you guys can ask me questions and I can answer them live. You can always reach out to the support team rather with any questions that you have. And I believe we're still offering paid private one-on-ones as well with key members of the support team. I'd have to dig through the platform and see where those are. Here we go. So schedule a one-on-one session. So you can schedule a one-on-one training or schedule a help session here as well.
Yeah, and you can go over the offer too that we have live until Sunday for anyone who is not currently a customer.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. You guys are done paying taxes. And now it's time to kind of invest in yourself, right? Hopefully some of you guys got some refunds and you're looking to To do something good with that money, we've got a killer deal going on through the end of the weekend. You can save up to 73% on our yearly account, 25% off the monthly account. That's for the first 3 months. You get this this pricing here, $150 a month for the first 3 months. Or you can buy the yearly account. It's about $640. You pay up front for the year. And it's a killer deal, 73% off. Excuse me. So that's the deal. Take advantage of it. It is available until tomorrow at midnight. Any plans for real-time SPX? That's a great question. I do not have an answer for you, unfortunately. But perhaps in the future, Brad might be able to answer that.
No update on that individually. I mean, we have the rolling futures contracts, which would be similar.
True. And
SignalStack is, yes, a sub company of us. We'll probably end up merging both the brands eventually. Jason, if you go back to the platform, you can show them the trading widget.
sure.
Yeah, so all the brokers we support on SignalStack. Oh, I guess you're not logged in on this account. No worries. They will show up and you can do a lot of live ordering and market ordering and staging of limit orders through our beta trading widget right now.
And if you'd like to know more about the brokers that we offer access to, signalstack.com/brokers. Last call for questions. Anybody else? Anything we missed? Time frame for Schwab. We don't have one specifically. They're integrating TD Ameritrade, and I believe that integration goes live like in middle of May. So I imagine we'll know more about it then. Any plan to allow to scan all listed stocks instead of scanning? That I don't know, Dyer. FDA approvals. So what I would do for FDA approvals is I would utilize this, the keyword. And you can choose news since X period of days. This is how I would do it. Anything else, y'all?
Yeah, sorry everyone. I'm trying to answer these questions as soon as I can. It's a little difficult through this
Yeah, they're coming up kind of slow. Best
Q&A
broker.
piece. Yeah. I didn't get the thing with SignalStack. I have IBKR account. Yeah, you can. Yep. IBKR works well, very well. One of my recommended ones. TradeStation, also a recommended broker. I mean, it works great. Both those, the fills are really good. It's a shame what's happening with TD and Schwab. We've been contacting them and Fidelity a lot. They don't have an API set up, so they have to build an API before we can plug into it. The same is for Webull. We were plugged into Robinhood. I'm not sure the status of their API connector. I'd have to check with support. Yeah, there's a scanner for chart patterns.
Yeah, there's a scanner for all of them. So, type in the pattern that you're interested in. It's probably pre-built already. It's like falling wedge breakout. It's going to be pre-built for you. Pretty much any basic pattern, breakout, breakdown, price inside of a channel, those sorts of things. It's all going to be pre-built here for you. You just got to search the pattern that you're interested in. Bullish flag scanner on your watch list. Of course.
Yeah, there's pre-built inverse Kramer too. Jason
Yes.
should have that in his account. I think it's in the team account at least.
No inverse Kramer on my personal.
Oh yeah, Jason. We got to do these from the team account from now on.
All right, we will. Miguel, identifying pullbacks. Got to be more specific with it. But yes, absolutely. Pullbacks to what though? You know, it's just a matter of being more specific. But yeah, percentage pullbacks, pullbacks to VWAP, pullbacks to particular chart patterns, pullbacks to moving averages, what have you. It's all possible.
We still got a good group in here, almost 100 people still.
Yeah,
Impressive.
it's amazing. High change compared to price. So the way that I would kind of think through that is you would define price. So you could say something like crows is, I don't know, equal to a constant value of X. Or you could even say like within range of a constant value. Might even be cleaner, within range of a constant value. Say $10.
And if you guys message into support, they're really smart with this stuff too, so they can help you build specifics for your account.
Right.
And then you can save them and have them forever, share them with your friends, whatever you want to do.
And then maybe what you would want to do here for that idea, the high change compared to price, presumably you're looking for something that moved a lot, you know? So you would maybe want to say, you could even do something like daily price close greater than price daily open, or any time frame really, by at least X, and define the percentage that it moved. Pre-built scanners for earnings. So a handful of things: earnings soon, earnings surprise, earnings today, some basic stuff, and then would just need to, you know, define it more specifically per what you were after. We will be publishing this session, Rilker. It's going to be on YouTube. We'll load it up. Need to identify tickers that are doing a lower high or higher high on your watch list. Absolutely can do it. ICT breaker blocks. So breaker blocks are, you cannot quote unquote define breaker blocks on the platform, but you can define fair value gaps. You can define order blocks, and then you can define price relative to them. You would do that using the proximity indicators, fair value gap proximity or order block proximity.
I'm gonna post a link too in the chat. We are testing this sending the scan results to email in kind of like a light way on our website. So if you go to our website in the free tool sections in the free tool section at the top under daily scanners, we have high volume gappers and movers breaking out from chart patterns, bullish momentum right now. This is just like a public way to simulate what you can do in the platform. It'll send you the list of those every morning, 30 minutes before open, or I think it's like right at 9 a.m. of a list of those stocks, and it'll change every day. I put a link in there. You can put your email in, whether you're a customer or not. It's free, and you can get them emailed to you. This is kind of like a beta test for something that will roll out for all scans later.
Ticker above the 21-day EMA and having a slope of 30 degrees. Slope is not definable, but what you could define, you could do something like this. You could say EMA right now is greater than the same EMA X candles ago, right? So like your EMA, your 20 EMA is greater than the EMA, the 20 EMA 10 candles ago, and then you would use by at least X percent. So this wouldn't get you, like, it's not a degree, but it is a percentage. So it gets you most of the way there.
Yeah, we'll hold this open for another like 5 minutes. So if anyone here wants to see anything, get a view into the platform, we know we stopped doing trials back in December. We don't plan to bring them back. If you message support or through our website, you can pay for a 7-day trial. But this is a good way to see the platform if you haven't purchased and you're not a customer yet. We'll do like 5 more minutes of demoing and then we'll head out for the weekend.
Yes, Signal Stack is its own product. Let me show you. Here's pricing for Signal Stack. There's no payment to integrate the two. You just have to pay for TrendSpider. You have to pay for Signal Stack. There is a free plan that offers just a few signals per month. If you are looking to just kind of like understand how it works, get used to it, maybe utilize it a couple times a month. Can you scan filter seasonality for just election year? Yes. You would do that here inside the exclude periods, and then just input non-election years. If you want to see seasonality of just election years, input non-election years. So it says exclude the following. What are the blue bands on the chart right now? These guys, these are gaps. So this is auto gap detection. I believe that's what you're talking to.
Yeah, it's nice. You have the indicator built, and then you can scan for gaps calling the gap snake indicator, or I forget the term for it, but
It's gap proximity.
gap
Same deal
proximity.
as with fair value gaps and with order blocks. You would use gap proximity to define prices proximity to the gap.
Yeah, it's a very nice tool for that because it does enable scanning for prices in those ICT zones as well. Good point.
Anonymous, yes, you can for sure. Pre-market, the big thing there is just putting extended hours on and scanning during pre-market. Scan for whatever conditions. You can utilize all the same conditions. Just have to make sure that the extended hours data is turned on.
Let me grab the link for chat to this deal. So I'm gonna put a link in the chat to the sale we have running right now for this tax webinar or tax season. It's gonna be just under $650 for yearly, and $149 a month for monthly. That's going to be a pretty heavy discount from what we are annualized monthly if you were to sign up. It's like 73% off. So it's a good way to lock in, or this was a good session to possibly see what you're missing. We'll run sales periodically. Probably our next one will be sometime in Memorial Day. So if you just want to stay tuned, feel free to reach out to support with any questions that you have over the next couple days. A recording will be emailed to you after this closes, and we'll upload this to YouTube.
A quick heat map explanation. Sure. So a couple different types of heat maps. You've got horizontal heat maps, which are looking for essentially price consolidation, areas in the chart where price has made the same highs or the same lows over a recurring period of candles. It's going to highlight those areas, extend them right on the chart for you, out into the right. As you can see, as it extends out into the right, that color, the depth of that color, the strength of that color tends to fade. So that fade represents the idea that over time, these areas' ability to potentially act as support or resistance are going to fade over time as well. You've got a couple of other options here, though. You've got depth. Depth essentially is the path of least resistance. It's going to let you know kind of like where, if it utilizes a couple of different styles of analysis on the back end to give you a basic trajectory of where price would have the easiest time going, looking out into the future. So anywhere that's black is going to be the quote unquote path of least resistance. Anywhere that's red could potentially be resistance. And the same idea with the depth of the color, the brighter, the bolder the color, the more powerful an area may be in terms of acting as potential support resistance. And then finally, the trends. We didn't get into this in the demo, but the auto trends are essentially filtered. They're filtered in a handful of different ways, but this quality filter, most relevant, is what allows you to just see kind of the most important auto trends that are occurring on any chart. You can choose the all unfiltered option, and you get something that looks like this. This is the all unfiltered. This is every single trend line that the platform is able to find on the chart. And as you can see, there's thousands of them here. So the trends heat map is kind of built utilizing the auto trends feature. It's pulling all the trend lines that we're finding. It's finding the most important ones, and it's building the heat map based off of those trend lines. So again, the same idea is true. Anywhere that's black, you're going to have price can kind of float freely. It's just as if there were no trend lines in that area. And then anywhere that's bright red is where you've got kind of a mass of trend lines all in one particular spot. We saw it on the auto trends here. We see it in the heat maps. So same idea, the brighter, the bolder the red, the more powerful an area may be in terms of acting as support resistance. The duller the red, the less powerful it may be. And then anywhere that's black, price can kind of float freely. What about go, no go, Anonymous? Definitely available on the platform. Handful of different things or a handful of different options there. The standard go, no go is going to be available for everybody. They also offer a couple of different go, no go indicators, a couple of like specialty ones. Brad linked in the chat. He linked to the trading tool store. So you can subscribe, you can purchase their other tools or their other indicators as well. And they've got a handful of them. The oscillator, the squeeze, and the Trend Pro. All right, last call, y'all. Going once, going twice. Do like 2 more. And then we'll let you guys be on your way. This has been such a pleasure. Really, really appreciate everybody sticking around, being in here.
Key parameters for backtesting: win rate, risk to reward.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we also built a tool that you can plug in here. I'll link this as well. For risk to reward, where you can find out what win rate is going to be profitable. I mean, those are going to be your big things. Like the more robust your reward is for every time you risk, right? Like so above 2, above 3. And if your win rate can be above 50%, it's highly likely that your strategy test is not too curve fit and is probably rigid enough to run forward, at least to test forward.
Where are the posted links? They're in chat, the webinar chat.
Yeah, I haven't been totally sure if they can see them this whole time, Jason, because there is a special selection for enabling them to be able to view the chat box, but
Should
it's
be able to.
unclear.
They should be able to.
Okay, cool. He was able to write over there.
He's able to write.
Chat is now working. Yeah, it looks like something. Oh, look at that. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, it was in like the settings like the whole time.
It was in the settings the whole time, and I just found it. Y'all got me
Yeah, totally.
flustered.
You should, yeah. We should have just chilled at the beginning. No, it's all good. There's a bunch of people here. I mean, hundreds of people there. There's the link. We need to post all these links, Jason. We need to post
Let's do it.
the scanner. Let's get that in there. I mean, any of you who are still here, kudos. Happy Saturday. We'll get y'all some links. I'm sorry for our technical difficulties. I couldn't really do anything on Jason's behalf because he was the host. But you know, we'll do more of these. It seems like y'all like this. There's a tool store. That's mad funny, Jason.
Yeah, we learn trial by fire, I suppose. Yeah, like Brad said, thank you all so much for being here. We do really, really appreciate it. And yeah, if anybody who's here that is already a TrendSpider trader, thank you so much for your commitment to the platform. We really do appreciate it. And anybody who's not yet a TrendSpider trader, feel free to take advantage of this really killer deal that we got going on this weekend. And it goes live, or rather, it's live now. We close it out at the end of the day tomorrow. So take advantage of it while it is around. And
Thank
enjoy
you,
your
everyone.
weekends. Enjoy your weekends. Y'all have a great rest of your weekend, and we will see you all again soon.